The federal government's special public works program to engage 774,000 unemployed Nigerians kicked off today. The program officially began after 3 months of delay. It was earlier slated to kick off on October 1 last year, but the scheme was postponed by President Muhammadu Buhari owing to floods in some of the project sites. It was later moved to November 1, and the planned recruitment had caused friction between members of the National Assembly and the Minister of State for Labor, Festus Keyamo. While federal lawmakers accused Keyamo of hijacking the program from the National Directorate of Employment, the minister alleged the legislators were the ones trying to take over the project. And consequently, the National Assembly suspended the program in the heat of its face-off with the minister, demanding further explanations.
So joining us now is the Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, to shed more light on this story. Honorable Minister, this seems to be good news, but if you don't mind my asking, why did there seem to be a delay? Some put it down to internal wranglings between you and the former DG of National Directorate of Employment. Is that true?
Well, all that is behind us now. I don't want to go into all the issues that bedeviled the start of the program. We are ready to start. We have started, and we are rearing to go.
So with that behind you, let's look at what you have put in place now. The launch today, what does that mean for this project?
Officially, it means that the Special Public Works Program has started across all the 774,000 local governments in the country. What we did today was just symbolic. It was a ceremony by me, who is the supervising minister, to kick off the program. And immediately after, in about 80% of the states across the country, there was also different ceremonies that signaled the start of the programs in those different states. There were a few hiccups in a few states, and then we have given them the freedom to stagger the takeoff. So some will do tomorrow, some will do on Thursday, but this week is for the takeoff of the program nationwide.
Well, of course, it's one thing to start a project, it's another thing to sustain it. I know that 52 billion naira has been earmarked or dedicated to this program. Very, very commendable. Now, with the COVID-19 and the impact it has had on the Nigerian economy, including government's purse, how do you plan to sustain this? And of course, some are saying 20,000 naira does not cut it. It doesn't even make the minimum wage.
Well, this is a clear reaction by the president to the socio-economic effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. We started off with a pilot scheme early this year. The pilot scheme was only designated for 8 states and 5 local governments in each of those 8 states. And whilst the pilot scheme was on, the pandemic caught up with the pilot scheme, so we couldn't actually complete the pilot scheme, but it took up very well in some of those states. However, when the pandemic came, the president thought that it was right to then extend this, public works to all the local governments in the country, 1,000 persons per local government. And take note that this is not a regular employment. So when you talk about minimum wage, it's, you should realize that it is not employment in the sense of the act, the Minimum Wage Act. This is just some temporary engagement, and it may not even be a full-scale engagement for the whole day, because we are talking of maintenance of public infrastructure, some kind of community work in different local governments. It is some kind of social intervention program. So you should not equate it with a proper minimum wage employment. No, it's a social intervention program aimed at putting monies at the pockets of the very, very poor. If you look at the hierarchy of workers in Nigeria, these workers that are targeted, they are the very bottom. They are the laborers, the ones we call the itinerant workers, the ones who depend on daily pay for survival, the ones you see by the side of the highway every day holding shovels and hoes, waiting for people to come and take them to different sites to work and to be paid on that day. So there is no government in the history. This is the largest, social intervention program that targets the very bottom of the economy. It has never happened before, and all down to the ingenuity and sympathy, empathy of the president for the very poor, who would have felt the very devastating effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. So that is it. And look, Ngozi, some people don't know what 60,000 naira means to people in the rural areas.
Mr. Keyamo, Honorable Minister, transparency is a key element of this project. How does the execution of the project account for this? Because a lot of people are watching, and you know that this is part of the reason why some members of the National Assembly seem to have questioned and queried it at a certain stage. So explain to us, how do you guarantee transparency on this?
Transparency in this program will come in three stages. One, the selection stage. Two, the payment of the stipends, and to ensure that the stipends are not diverted and they are actually paid to those who are engaged. And the third one, of course, is to ensure that the jobs are actually done. So let me explain these three and how we have developed some kind of template to ensure that there's transparency at these three stages. The first one is that what we did in terms of the selection was to make it a local affair, because we knew from the beginning that it would be difficult to do it some online kind of engagement. Online are met for people who are educated in many cases, and whereas this program, the target participants are not those who are educated. So, and then we also had to ensure that the 1,000 persons selected actually reside in those local governments. Either they are from those local governments or they ordinarily reside in those local governments. If you do it online, then it will mean that somebody may apply in Abia State online, and whereas he will apply to work in Niger State, whereas he's resident in Abia State. So you cannot get in touch with them physically to work. So we had no choice but to do physical recruitment. And to do physical recruitment, we had to engage local leaders. And what type of the local leaders did we engage? We engaged some multi-sectoral leaders. Head of the Christian Association, head of the Muslim Association, the market leader of the state, the National Union of Road Transport Workers, NGOs, and on like that. So we made it multi-sectorial. And of course, we made sure that it was not only politicians, in quotes, that gave it to their supporters, because we know that there are many Nigerians who don't have political leaders, and they are the ones, they are entitled to this kind of program. In the past, it used to be that this kind of program, they just handed over to governors, handed over to political leaders, and the ordinary Nigerians who don't have access to politicians, they will not get access to this program. So we made sure that we were transparent in that regard. The second one is as to the payment of stipends. Mr. President directed from beginning, that we should ensure that we engage, we use select banks to engage those who have been selected. I mean, to register those who have been selected. So as I speak with you, the 774,000 Nigerians, they all have account numbers who have been registered by 6 banks we chose, and they all have their BVN. Nobody will be paid twice. Nobody will be diverted. There will be clear audit trail for every single payment. So I can assure you that there's zero fraud in this program, in the payment of stipends to those who have been chosen. And of course, to ensure that the work is actually done, which is the third stage, we have engaged supervisors at all levels, and there is a reporting hierarchy in these supervisors. We're also using online tracking. Make sure that we have opened the website. We have made sure that at every level, those who are a bit educated, who are supervising them, they feed us reports regularly. We have also opened a website so that Nigerians can, an interactive website, Nigerians at every local government level can.
If I may comment very, very quickly, Honorable Minister, I mean, you have given some reassurances really that this will not be hijacked, but I'm still curious, how do you ensure that you get politicians off your back, that they don't hijack this? And you've said this is another social intervention program. A lot of Nigerians actually believe that the SIPs so far really have not delivered on the promise. So, and how will you measure the impact of this program?
Well, at the end of the day, we have various project sites. We have taken photographs, how this public infrastructure were before, and at the end of the program, we are going to show Nigerians the development we have achieved in terms of with this public infrastructure. So there will be a lot of impacts, with it. Again, certain persons who will come and give testimony as to what they did, even with the monies they receive, the stipends. People think that 60,000 naira is nothing to the rural people. I can tell you that 60,000 naira will boost a lot of small businesses at that level. People will boost their small market trade, their small businesses at all levels. There are certain persons who the whole of their markets that they sell in their small village market, not more than 30,000, even not more than 10,000. The whole of vegetables a woman sells at times, or the whole of goro she sells in the market, will not be more than 10,000 naira. 60,000 naira is a lot, I can assure you. So there will be a lot of impact at that level. It's going to boost the economy at the grassroots level. It's going to do that.
All right, Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Newsnight.